Are we live?
Yes, we are. I can see.
We are live. Okay, good. Hello. My name is Tamara. I am an open floor teacher in training, artist, entrepreneur, organizer of open floor workshop, and today I'm wearing a hat of interviewer, and I have a great pleasure to talk with Lucie Nerot, who is a founding member of Open Floor. She's experienced teacher of 5 years. She trained with Gabriel Ross. She also trained with Andrea Johan, teaching libido fundamentals. She trained with Richard Moss, energy work and consciousness. So, hello, Lucie.
Hello.
I imagine that there is quite a few people in Berlin still who have no idea what open floor is about, and if we can maybe start here and tell what is the open floor about.
So open floor is a movement practice that is based on resources, and it gives us resources to dance and also resources through the dance for life. It's a way to explore our own nature and our experience at any given moment in a fun and deep way at the same time. I think one of the key things about open floor is that we really want to move and include, which means include all the dimensions of ourselves, from the physical to the soul, through the emotions and through the mind. We want to include all of the dimensions of relationship, whether we're hungry for solitude or connection or belonging or spirit, so that we have a very wide range of experience that we can explore. And it's a practice that gives us a lot of freedom. So there's a structure to guide people, especially in a workshop, a structure that offers a certain different explorations where you will be guided. And at the same time, at the heart of those explorations, each person will find their own dance. Each person will be following their own journey. So it's a combination of structure and freedom.
Thank you. Would you say that this work is for everyone?
Yeah, I would. It is intended to be really open to anyone.
Even for older people who are not like great dancers.
You're 16 or 80. I've had an 82-year-old dancer for a whole workshop on my floor.
Right.
So it's really, yeah.
So one more question about open floor. From my small experience of teaching open floor in Berlin, I've got a question. For example, what is it? Is it therapy? Is it dance class? Is it workshop? What is this about?
Well, open floor has a lot of different avenues, different possibilities. Therapy is one of them, but that's a specific type of work. Otherwise, open floor is not therapy. It's mostly an exploration through dance, even though sometimes we can use different modalities than dance. We can add, some writing or some drawing, but mostly it's really an exploration through movement to music, which you can call dance. For some people, dance calls for images of ballet or salsa. So it's a more free kind of dance than that. I consider that it has a therapeutic quality, but it's not therapy.
Okay.
It shouldn't be confused. If you're looking for therapy, then you need to look for either a therapist or a therapy and motion teacher.
Yeah. Can you tell us a bit about the workshop, what people can expect
This particular workshop, is focused on soul. And soul is a tricky question because it means different things to different religions, to different people with or without, a religion. In Open Floor, what we mean by soul is the part of yourself that is able to connect to something bigger than you, bigger than me and you, bigger than us, that enables us to connect to the source and to, in a way, let that energy come through us and become this unique journey that is us or our life. And in my own journey, I've always had a combination of a quest for soul, a love of dance, and something quite a pretty rational mind. I was trained in academia. I taught history, so I have a pretty broad range of experience. And what I love about this workshop is that in a way it brings all of that together. So there's, how do you let your mind move so that you understand how to create space for soul? How do you dive into a ritual so that there's an echo that your soul can join? And simply, how do you let the dance take you to a place where something else is dancing you? A different quality of you comes through in the dance. And I made this little thing. It's in French, but it doesn't matter. It's the drawing I'm interested in. You see that it looks like a DNA spiral.
Yeah.
And for me, I would call it's the DNA of a spiritual path. And it has the blue that comes down, which I call the path of grace. And when you dance, in a way, you prepare your body or your being for the possibility that grace will suddenly come through you. And anyone who's been dancing, doing conscious dance for long enough knows those moments. Right. It's one of the things that brings us to the dance floor, where suddenly you've sweated through all of your stuff, and and there's a moment when you feel blessed. You feel one with the moment. You feel you're in the right place, in the right moment, and you're not thinking anymore, you're just being. So that's one way. And the other bit, the red one, is what I call the work of consciousness, which is how we prepare ourselves to be more open to grace. How we develop a greater consciousness of who we are, of the defenses that we've built to survive, of the skills that we've developed to survive, and both of those can be an obstacle to grace, paradoxically, or can help us get to that place. And for me, it is like the DNA spiral, double spiral, because there's communication between both all the time. And that's what I love about Open Floor. It doesn't tell you, forget the red thread. Right. The only thing that counts is grace. Cut your head off. It's just like, there were actual practices where you were called to, metaphorically cut your head off. Douglas Harding his whole practice was that. It's a way, you're just trying to get to grace by, cutting off everything else. In my experience, that only works to a certain extent and for a very small moment. Yeah. And then other people will be saying, grace is nonsense. the only thing that counts is the work you do on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And in my own path and my own journey, my experience is that what works is the combination of things.
Mm-hmm.
And especially, I think any true spiritual journey has both components.
Right.
There's a French spiritual teacher who died a while ago, but one of his books is called Effort and Grace.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's another way to say it. Like, there's both, there's doing my part.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I show up on the dance floor, I let myself explore things, I allow myself to feel myself. Because when I say becoming aware, it doesn't mean you're going to use your head and your thoughts all the time, because that's only aware of one part.
Mm-hmm.
Consciousness is something different. It lies in being able to feel my whole body,
Mm-hmm.
being able to connect to my emotions,
Mm-hmm.
and in being able to notice my thoughts and let them find their dance.
Right.
So it's it's a very rich exploration.
Yeah, that's what I love also. It's always an emphasis of also in open floor on the connection to the ground and connection to the top, right? And it doesn't exist only on one side, or it's becoming fake when we go to only one side.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would say it's fake. It's limited.
Or limited, right?
Limited. It's like you have a continuum of possibility, and you're like, oh, this one is the good one. I'm going to try to get away from this and only be here.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, this means you're missing out on a whole part of your human experience. And because of the way the human psyche is built, we have to believe in a certain number of things. Because that's how we build our identity, and that's how we come into existence in the world as a me. You know, I'm Lucie, and for example, I don't like it when things are superficial. I'm a deep person, you know, or you know, I'm Lucie and I'm an honest person. I don't lie. You know, I'm Lucie and I know that. It's bad to be rich and to not care about the rest of the world. You know? So all of those things are true for me to a certain extent. But in order to believe them, I have to hide in the shadow its opposite. Because that's the only way you can believe one thing. And part of the work that we're going to do this weekend is to go and look for what's in the shadow, bring it back into consciousness, into our bodies, into our dance. And as these two opposites meet, as the paradox becomes present, it will naturally bring us to the place of dissolving, of the structure of the ego. And of course it's temporary. Don't worry, you'll get some of it back before you go home. But in that moment of temporary dissolving, a space opens, you know, through which pure consciousness can flow through us, soul can flow through us, spirit can flow through us. And these are moments that you will never forget. And they will gradually give you a different ground of being, which means that you're not going to lose your personality. You're not going to become someone who's completely different of who you are today, but hopefully you'll have more space for your soul, and there'll be more fluidity in your personality, in your relationship with others.
Yeah. And we always can come back to those moments, right? It's,
yeah. You can come back to those moments through your mind, but that actually doesn't bring the same quality. but you can recognize them. When that kind of quality comes to you in the dance, you go, oh yeah, I know you, I'm going to open to you. And also, in my experience, there's something of those deep experiences that keep working themselves through us,
Right.
even in an unconscious way, and really help us grow.
Yeah. Great. Really looking forward to this workshop. I'm very curious. So before we go, I would like to give you a few kind of personal questions so people get to know you a bit more. First one is like, why are you doing what you're doing?
Why am I doing what I'm doing? You mean the teaching part?
I know. Yeah, teaching, of course, teaching.
Well, the teaching part is, I think I have some calling for transmission. Before teaching workshops of conscious dance, I used to teach at high school. And the context of high school didn't really work for me. But I loved being in connection with teenagers and trying to be a resource for them, helping them understand things, find things for themselves. So I think that calling has been pretty deep in me. The other reason for doing it in the context of the dance is that I find it magical. As a teacher, I'm a witness of people who were feeling shy and awkward and stuck. And then, at some point, suddenly their soul starts shining through their dance. And this feeds my soul. It's a blessing. I saw one of my students, I think, who started dancing 3 years ago at a class, and she was just radiant. And at the end, I went like, wow, I had a flashback of you at your first workshop in a corner, really kind of terrified. And so to have the privilege to open those kinds of doors for people is amazing. And for me, there's also, I think each of us as a teacher has specific things that touch us. For me, there's something that I would call the uncovering of your own truth that really just goes straight to my bones and straight to my soul. And when I see someone finally allow themselves to open and touch a part of themselves that they've been running away from for years, and they find that, that it has its dance. And even if they consider it an ugly part of themselves, in a way, the dance of ugliness is beautiful in its truth, in its authenticity. And it's not just, I'm not just being new agey. Yeah. It's not like, oh yeah, it's like, what a beautiful pile of shit. It's not that, because it doesn't look like a pile of shit. It looks like a black diamond. It's like blackness carved into a diamond. And that kind of alchemy, is what I thrive on.
It's real.
It's really, and in leading groups, there are magical things that happen in the group, on a collective dimension, where suddenly I know the moment in the workshop when I tell my assistants, I go, oh, we've got a group. We had people, now we've got a group, and there's a group journey. And that's one of the great reasons to come to a workshop, is because the group journey will feed each person's journey through that workshop in a very powerful way.
Yeah, we can enrich each other over and over.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. You'll enrich each other, you'll challenge each other, you'll love each other. All of that.
Yeah. Another question. What was the greatest nonsense you believed in, and what made you change it?
So, I think the most painful nonsense I believed in was that I was not fit for this world. I was not made for this world. And each of us, carries in a way a certain quality of wound, what we call sometimes it's called the mother wound in some of the spiritual teachings. And that's my mother wound. It's I don't belong here. I don't belong here. I don't know how I got here, but this is a mistake.
Yeah.
And it's a belief that I have to remind myself over and over again that it's not true. And the journey I've taken through the dance has again and again brought me to a place where I belong in the context of the dance. And also, in a way, to a place where belonging in the sense of having my place in a group is not even relevant anymore. Because I belong because I am. Mm-hmm. And it's probably one of the most difficult things for me to, and probably for anyone, to put into words. Mm-hmm. It's a great paradox when, when your soul is the part of you that is mostly present, when you're fully connected to this moment, when you're actually just in this moment. There is no need for justification of any kind, because I just am, and I am with, and there is not even a question that I belong here. That question has dissolved. So I think for me it's been both. It's been, okay, there's a place where I know that question will dissolve, and the pain will dissolve with it. And there's also a way that I can learn to bring that back, down that double spiral, bring that grace back down through my body, through my being, into this embodiment, this incarnation, this life, and learn to find a place also in the material world, in the human world.
Beautiful, beautiful. Great explanation. The last question. When was the last time someone inspired you, and who was it?
So the last time that someone inspired me was actually being inspired by one of my students, one of my long-term students and long-term friends, who was on the first open floor teacher training and is now an open floor teacher. And for the first time last week, I was able to go to her class. And I had a blast, I just dove in and had amazing dances and followed her guidance and felt, both proud and humbled and fulfilled by the experience.
Great. So it's like when we give something, we receive back. And
and there's something of nourishing a seed in someone, and you see it and you know it even when they don't. And then suddenly you see that tree or that flower grow and expand and find its beauty. And that's
nice.
Yeah, that's inspiring.
Thank you. So, anything would you like to add before we go?
I guess just that I'm very happy to be coming to Berlin. I love this city. I loved teaching libido fundamentals last year, and I'm really looking forward to dancing and exploring with you.
Yeah, I'm happy too. I'm curious about the workshop, and I'm very looking forward to do it again with your guidance. And to everyone who is listening us, we already have very nice group, very international group, but we still have few places to sign. You can still join us, and please write to me with any questions. And the workshop will start in February between 2nd and 4th. We are probably going to do open evening, right, on Friday also.
Yeah, if you think there's space for that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm really, really looking forward for this journey with Lucie and with all of you, and happy to see you on the dance floor. Ciao.